Alright guys, so it's time for the Vegas Finals review. As I've done with the other ones this year, I've split it up into chapters so you can skip through it quickly or go to a specific spot in an episode, or not every spot, but the competitors, the obstacles of each Vegas Finals episode. And at the end, I did like a special off the cuff, designing my own Vegas ideal course for next year. So I hope you enjoy. And it's getting stormy outside. And thank you for watching. Now, before I get into the review, I'd like to make some predictions as to the results of each stage. I'm not going to predict individual ones, but just the number of clears for each stage. So stage one, I'm doing this after episode one, but I made these predictions before it. So just for disclosure, these are completely just guesses. Stage one, I predicted 22 clears. I'm guessing I'm not too far off the total because we've had 12 clears so far in the first half. And the second half of stage one is going to be slightly shorter because of stage two is going to be also featured in the next episode. So it might be around 22. I'll be happy if I get it right, but I think I'm at least on pace due to that early stage two start, so that's good. And these are kind of also like my ideal numbers too. I think I tried to just make a prediction, but I also put like what I want, so that's good. If we get about 22, that's what I was hoping. Stage 2, I put 8. Again, this is kind of ideal. Definitely compared to the last several Vegas seasons where we had either 21 competitors in season 11, which was crazy, or the previous 3 years we had a total of 7 people in all 3 seasons. So 8 would be like the sweet spot. It would be enough people for the stage, but not too many. And if there's more than 12 clears, I'm gonna think again that they're trying to get another winner, which I hope they're not, because I want a win that's happening organically without them making it easier. Especially stage 2. Stage 2 needs to be easier, but not like last time. That was too easy. Stage 3, I'm predicting 1 clear, although it could also easily be 0 because I just don't really know much about it. So this is kind of hard to guess because it's just so... There's less to base it on than the first couple stages, but I would say 1 clear. And then I predict that 1 clear will fill stage 4. I also kind of hope so because stage 4 hasn't built up like the image of being tough because there's a 75% clear rate, 3 out of 4 competitors. So if we could get another fail there and end the tournament on stage 4 for the first time, except for clearing it, but I mean like the first time we end on a stage 4 fail, that would be a good change. It would give the final stage some respect. By the way, they haven't changed the final stage from what I've read, which I think is crazy. But A&W's got A&W, and I don't know what their logic is. But at least it's a short part of the show. But they need to add like a spider climb or something to make it different, because they change everything else so much, but they just don't want to change the final challenge, and that should feel fresh and tough. So it's kind of disappointing, but not unexpected either, at least in my case, because they didn't do it last time either. Okay. Alright, so we're finally on to Vegas. I'm excited for that. Stage 1's always good to watch, and this year is no exception because we have some interesting new stuff. I'll say that. We have some interesting new ideas. Unfortunately, my university doesn't have cable TV, so I might have to keep watching it on the laptop, which I don't get why they don't have cable, but it's unfortunate. I think I have enough credits to keep watching it on the NBC site, but I might have to figure something out for the last one, because I don't know if I have 1 or 2 credits left, but I don't want to like get any more subscriptions to anything, because then I'm gonna end up spending money. So hopefully I have 2 credits, but we'll figure it out because there's 2 more episodes. What else? So I guess let's get into the course. We have the slide surfer, which is a new obstacle. I thought it was the diving boards at first just because it looks like it, but it's basically these 3 boards that you walk across, and when you put weight on them, they slide forward, kind of like a surfboard. Most people just run right across them, but some people kind of surf them. Then we have a new second obstacle as well, the swinging blades. I thought it was kind of simple at first, but then I realized that they swing at like an angle that kind of like throws your momentum sideways. So that's actually a good idea. I like that one. pretty good. I think it's made by Kevin Brecky, who made the Crank It Up and has a job with ATS now. So I like that. That's another good idea. And it ends with that slope platform that's pretty steep, which I also think is good. It catches a few people off guard. Then we have a returning obstacle that I like. And I guess I've never reviewed this before because I've only reviewed 12 and 13, and 12 didn't have Vegas. So I like this one a lot. It's just the double dipper. It's tough, but it's pretty exciting. It's visually good, intimidating. So I like that. Then we have the jumping spider, which I guess I've also never reviewed, even because it wasn't a Sasuke or anything. So I want to say I like this obstacle in general, but I was hoping they'd replace it this time because it's been around since the beginning of Vegas. I think it's like the stage 1 staple outside the warped wall, but it's getting old. I think they should have got a new one. Although it did kind of have a pickup in failures again this time, which is interesting. By the way, in the intro they said that the double dipper has got more victims than any other stage 1 obstacle, but I would say the jumping spider has. I'm pretty sure because it's been there for so long. Not because it's harder, but just because the time it's been there. And it took out a lot of people in the first couple of years because they were less experienced. So I thought that was wrong, but I could be off, but I'm pretty sure of that. Then we have Tire Run. Now, it's good. It's not anything too special. I thought they'd replace it, but I'm not too upset with it being there. Then we have the warped wall. People got that pretty easily this time. Then we have an interesting thing on top of the warped wall. You can hit this buzzer. There's not much reason to not hit it, really, because there's no consequence to missing it. But it sets this ring going down the track on like a rope, and then you have to race across obstacle 7, which is the dipping birds, which I don't get why it's called that. I guess it kind of looks like birds like putting their head into the water, kind of like to drink, but I'm truly not sure why it's called the dipping birds. It also looks to me to be pretty easy, but people actually struggle on it more than like the razor beams and stuff. So I guess it's just my perspective, and it's harder than it looks it's harder when you're actually there. But from like my angle, it looked pretty easy. But I'm glad some people struggled on it to give it that fear element, I should say. Then, so if you get across those fast enough, you'll be able to catch that ring that you set off going down the track. And this is kind of like a split decision point. You can jump off the trampoline and grab that ring you sent, and then you can just grab the ring and slide to the on the same level as the rope ladder. They have a regular ladder that's a lot easier to climb. So you can just climb that ladder and hit the buzzer if you're able to catch the ring and make the kind of tough jump up to it. So it's definitely risky in some ways, especially on the 7th obstacle going across it quickly, but it can pay off and save you some time. Then there's the, I guess, normal 8th obstacles, the fly hooks. It's like the sky hooks, but you're on 2 swinging handles instead of just like stable ones. It's a much bigger jump. And this is a good evolution of the 8th obstacle from like the double twister. So I approve of that, but it looked tough to me. Like, I'd be afraid on that one. And even on the skyhooks, I think it looks pretty tough. So the supersized version looks really hard to me. And then you have to transition to the net and climb up. I kind of like how split decision's a bit different because it's not just like a straightforward one. It's like it's kind of weird in that you can like make the decision then go back on it and just go to the fly hooks instead of the high road, which is what they call the ring on the track. So that's kind of weird, but I kind of like how it's different to the traditional split decision, so that's cool. The time limit is 2 minutes 35 seconds, which I would make like 10 to 15 seconds less, but I don't like that they keep raising time limits. I like when the time is a big factor. So I think they could make it lower. A lot of these obstacles are relatively quick, or at least not longer than the previous things in their place. So yeah. Because like the first obstacle is quick, about the same as Archer Steps. The second one is probably about the same as Spin Your Wheel, maybe a tiny bit faster even. Then the Dipping Birds is about the same speed as Razor Beams. And the last obstacle takes a bit longer, but not much longer, I would say. If you go to the high road, it takes less time. So I would say, if anything, it should be like 5 seconds longer, but it's actually 20 seconds longer than it was in season 11. So yeah, I would make that time limit shorter. But otherwise, I like the stage a lot. Let's get to the competitors. So the first thing I noted was that the intro's back, like the introduction music sort of thing. This one wasn't too much of an issue. It was good. It was kind of showing how they're back in Vegas after 2 years, and it was more exciting because of that, just because the circumstances. So luckily, that works for this week. Definitely boosted my views just because it's been so long since we saw stage one. I was just happy to see it again. But yeah, that intro wasn't bad. I like again how it kind of ties into the show more than just some obscure thing or song. So I like that. Yeah, it was just really exciting to be back, and that's what like the first 5 minutes of the show. It was a bit longer of an intro, and like even after like the introduction like song or whatever sequence, it still took a bit longer to get started just because it's the first time back in Vegas. But I was fine with it because it's good to build excitement for your return. So yeah, I like the start of the episode, even though it was kind of like fluffy. It worked in a good way considering the long time since the last stage one. All right, so let's jump right into the runners. First we had Christian Yost, who I believe was also the first run in semifinals, which is just interesting. I took note of that. He had a profile. I can't remember what it was. To be honest, I think it was just a generic like, "It's good to be in Vegas" sort of thing. It was pretty quick, so it was fine. Oh, so by the way, I don't know why I didn't mention this yet because it's a really big thing for me. But they have a bit of an audience back, so that's the first time since 2 years ago that we've had that. It's not quite as big, but I'm really glad to see that. Just as not in terms of Ninja necessarily, but just in terms of getting back to normal in general. I like to see little steps like that. But what made me think of this is that they had the mom, and everyone's mom, but I'm not gonna say it 20 times for each person, but they had the mom watching on Zoom still, so it's like, I think if they have an audience, they should at least allow the family to come. I don't know if maybe the audience is like staff members and people connected to the filming of the show, or maybe just like locals of that area because they don't want people traveling. But I feel like we're at the point, this was filmed in like June, mid-June. That was around the point where things kind of loosened. So I feel like they should have allowed families to come if they wanted to, which I feel like they didn't. So anyway, I hope that next year they just a normal audience, so hopefully I can go to one also, which would be nice. That also involves if they come to my area of Florida. But yeah. So that's a good step, but I just noticed like they should probably allow the family to come too if they're allowing any audience, but that's just me. Oh, here's actually where they point out that the Double Dipper has taken out more people than any other obstacle in stage one. I thought it was in the intro, but never mind. But yeah, I still don't know if that's true or not. Then, he had a pretty good run. He made it to the last obstacle, which is kind of a trend with the first run in Vegas, that people make it to the last obstacle and fail on it or time out. He went for a split decision, but he changed his mind, which a lot of people did. But there was some wasted time there because he thought about hitting the button and stuff. So unfortunately, he got caught up on the ring jump of the fly hook. That's what it's called, yeah, fly hooks. And he landed interestingly, he landed on the opposite side of the second hook, like he landed on the back hook, which is a lot harder to do, although I'm sure it was unintentional. He was trying to get it on there. But it was a good move. And then unfortunately, he made it to the cargo net, but he failed climbing up it. So very close for a first run, but unfortunately didn't pay off. I kind of saw that type of run coming because they like to do that in stage one. But it was still interesting. It was exciting. Then we had Cam Baumgartner, who they said was like a nanny for kids. I don't know if they're in his neighborhood or something. I don't remember. But they say he's like a nanny, which is a decent profile piece. Again, it's kind of unrelated to the show, so it's just... I feel like we could see another run instead of that. Especially in Vegas, I like to just introduce the competitors and go. Like a quick introduction. But this episode wasn't too bad with stories, but there's a couple that were like, eh. But that was alright. Then he had an uneven grab on the first blade. of the swinging blades, and he fell off. So that was surprising. I thought he was going to, not with his placement because he ran right after someone who had a good run and he was early on, but hearing that his name, I would have expected him to probably clear the first stage. So unfortunately, he didn't get to do that this time, but I'm sure he'll be back. Then we had Megan Rowe. They said she was off to an aggressive start. According to my notes, I don't remember if they said that, but I believe so. They said she was off to an aggressive start, and then right after that, she ended up wasting time on the. Oh yeah, she ended up wasting time a lot on the blades. So it was like trying to get the landing right, but she took probably like 5 swings back and forth to do so, and unfortunately, she just missed the landing of the double dipper, and she was out. Unfortunate. Then we had Nate Hansen, and this is another story that was like, it had ninjas in it, but it wasn't like a very related story. They basically said he was roommates with a bunch of people who I honestly don't remember who they were, because there's a lot of roommates, especially in these days of A&W, but they did like the titles, like the messy one, the neat one, the chef, and something else, because there's 4 of them. Sorry if I forgot your title. But yeah, that was just like, Especially, it felt like a qualifying story to me, not a Vegas. And we've talked about Nate Hansen before. You know, I get that they had a good story for him in finals, but it seems unnecessary to like double up, especially back-to-back weeks. Anyway, I noticed that he had a wingnut like paper cutout on the fridge, which is funny. I wonder if they always have that just put up for the video, but it's a good decoration, better than anything I have on my fridge, which is nothing. He had a close call on the double dipper, and he failed the jumping spider. I think he was the first fail of that, and more to come. At that point, though, I remember thinking it's kind of good to see someone fail the spider because it's become an easier obstacle. But as I alluded to earlier, there's gonna be some more fails coming up. Then we fast forward to Jonah Munoz, who failed the first. He had the first fail on tire run. He kind of fell sideways off the first few tires. Then Devin Alexander, who had another jumping spider fail. Okay. Then we had Isaiah Thomas, who he had a story with Karsten. He's one of the better kids, the Flyboy, I think is his nickname. I still confuse some of the kids, but I believe that's his nickname. Oh yeah, then they showed, I don't think this was seen in qualifying or in semifinals because Roma's Cup, but he did like an air plank on the wall. I think there's a proper name for that, but I'm going to call it an air plank where he was like propped up on only his arms. So that's cool. Glad I got to be seen for a second. Then he also changed his mind, split decision, but he was the first clear of the night, so that was good. And again, a pretty really clear, which you've been seeing a lot of this year. They've been spacing them out a bit more and putting them, distributing them throughout the episode, which I think is okay. It keeps things interesting, and that was a good run. Not surprised that they showed the first clear being a teenager, but also not a big issue. Good to see how they can do the course. Then we fast forwarded a teen who unfortunately didn't clear. He failed on the dropping birds. So I was kind of glad, honestly, to see that they were possible to fail. Not to say that seemed like an easy thing, but I was surprised to see someone fail it just because it seems like an easier obstacle. But I think people are rushing it then, so I get that. Then we had Rachel DeGuts, who got stuck on the double dipper. She tried to build up swing to dismount, but that's such a big track you can't really make any kind of progress on it. So unfortunately, her run ended there. Then we had Ava Colasante, who's one of the younger, who's one of the teenagers. She talked about how she and her dad talked about how they traveled the country for the National Ninja League, which is nice. That's a good way to get like known in the ninja community. So that's a good way to get your foot in the door, especially with the main show, and get practice, of course. She had some close calls on the first couple of obstacles, like the dismount, like the slope of the sliding boards and the blades. She was like very close to slipping down it, but she was able to make it through, and then unfortunately failed the jumping spider. So we have a lot of teenage fails on the jumping spider. So I kind of appreciate that change of pace in stage 1. If we're gonna keep the spider forever, at least have some fails. Then we have Amir Malik. They did a piece on him rescuing, I guess. I put reducing, whoops. Rescuing dogs. So that's cool. It wasn't too long of a piece, even though it's not very like related, but good for him. Um, it was his 21st birthday. They pointed that out. So if we were still in season 9, he'd just be turning old enough to compete. But luckily, he's able to compete this time because of the age drop, 2 age drops actually. Um, and then unfortunately though, he failed the double dipper. He went upwards from it and not out, so he was out because of that. If he was in the National Ninja League 2020 finals, it would have been good because that was like an upward transition, but this one's more outward. So unfortunately, wrong competition for that. Then we have fast forward of Casey Rothschild. She missed a jump on the swinging blades. I don't know what happened. It looked like she was jumping straight into the pool. Not like missing the trampoline like we see in the past, but just jumping directly into the water. I think it was the bad balance or maybe her legs locked up, but it's unfortunate. And that's it. Then Owen Dyer also failed the jumping spider in the fast forward segment. So yeah, I think there's a lot of teenagers that failed the obstacle. Maybe it's because they're shorter, but that doesn't really make that much sense because it's not that wide of a gap. But maybe. Then we have Matt Bradley. He's the one with obstacles in his barn. I appreciate in his profile he was building an on guard model, which is a very underrated obstacle in A&W. It was only done in 2 runs because it was stage 3 of season 10. I guess it was also in USA vs. the World, but I didn't watch that. Or maybe I did, but I don't know. Anyway, it's very underrepresented. I thought during the intro, like with the overhead shot of the course, I thought I saw the on guard, but then I realized it's almost certainly the what's it called? The air surfer that I was seeing because that's more recent, and I just expect that more than the return of on guard. Because once an obstacle's gone from Vegas, it doesn't tend to just return. So I would like to see it again, but that might not be in the cards. But I wish it was. It's a good obstacle. And it's not like it was ever like defeated, like it was never on the course that got defeated, they just nerfed it the year after. So it's still, even though it had 2 out of 2 clear rate, it's still like could be brought back since hopefully they're buffing up the course for making it harder this time. But I'm not sure if they are because they might want to wipe out the previous winner. And I don't blame them, but I don't want 2 winners in a row either because then it's going to confuse people that there should be a winner every time. Especially with the last year like mini thing, they'd have 3 winners. It's like yeah. And then when you factor in the bridge season last year with Daniel Gill, people gotta really think that every year is a winner. Because in theory, if this year does have a winner, it'll be 2019 through 2021. So that's like I hope they avoid. But again, I get why they want to watch the 2019. But yeah, I just hope we can wait till next year, or wait till a few years. But we'll see what happens. Where was I? I don't even know what I'm. Okay, here we go. Matt Bradley, yeah. So he referenced on guard, as I said about 5 minutes ago, before the diversion. Oh yeah, Najee made a random cameo, and it's weird because we've seen very little of him this year, sadly. So that was interesting. Then they point out how he got sick before his run, like he has anxiety, so he throws up before and after he competes, which I can't relate to the throwing up part, luckily. But before I do stuff, I get really nervous, so I can relate to that. But that's more running because running is more painful. Ninja I kind of enjoy doing and I don't freak out as much. But if I was on TV, I might freak out. So yeah, that was an interesting part. And it didn't affect him too much because he hit the buzzer and cleared. There was nothing very interesting to like note. He just looked good. That's always a positive when there's no asterisks to point out about the run. Then we had a compilation after the break of a jumping spider fails. As I said, it's interesting. We got a lot. Abel Gonzalez, unfortunately, just then and there got taken out. So that's a shame. That's a relatively big name, and he's done the jumping spiral before, as you said. Then John Uga, who actually he made the jump into the walls, which is almost always like a success, but he failed the spider walk portion. So that's unfortunate. It happens, but maybe he has slippery shoes. So that's, I'm sure, disappointing. And then Eric Middleton, the bug ninja, we didn't get to see any tarantula sandwiches or anything because he's out, and they skipped him. I'm surprised, or they fast forwarded him. I should say, but not much focus. So that's too bad. Then we had Tiana Weberly. Um, she almost missed the grab on the blades. I forgot about this, but she, like with her right hand, I think slipped off and had to do her fingertips. But luckily it worked out. But that was nerve wracking. And she caught herself on the spinning tire of the tire run. I was nervous she was gonna fall there, but I think tire run was part of her downfall in the end. Cause she ended up timing out. She tried to go with the faster option of split decision, but she had to go to the fly hooks, because she missed them, and that was it. She ran out of time on the net. I was really hoping she might make it, but then again, they showed her. They'd probably save her for last if she did clear the stage. But I was hoping, but unfortunately, this was not the run. But I feel like we might get Jesse Lebrecht to clear it next week. But that's just my suspicion. Then we had a fast forward with Francisco Barajas, who failed the double dipper. His legs were too high up, and they kicked the second bar. I noticed in the background of his run that it was getting bright out. I think it looked like the sky was kind of getting lighter. So maybe they ran into filming difficulties. I don't know why he'd run late in the night, because it's not like a competitor I'd expect them to save for last, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was getting dark. It looked like it was getting light, but I can't judge. Or maybe I'm just crazy. Then we had Darren Perez. He had the Guam flag, and he failed the grab on tire run. That's unfortunate and unexpected. Then we had Sean Bryan. He cleared. I was really annoyed though that it skipped him, and I was also on the computer. It froze up during the second half of that recap, so I missed it, but I went back and they recapped his shoulder, but they didn't make a big deal of it like I thought they would, so that's too bad. I wanted to get more coverage. If he's one of those people that doesn't get as much coverage, which sucks because he's done well, so I don't know what it's about. One thing that was was that they said he's one of the favorites to win it all, which I would not think at this point if they skipped his first stage run. That's just me, but yeah, unfortunately my confidence in him has gone down just because they didn't show his first stage, which I'm pretty confident they would if he won. Unless we have five winners, I really hope we don't. But if then they might skip one. But yeah, I don't think he's gonna. This is his year, unfortunately. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Either way, disappointing. Then we had Adam Rill. They talked about him moving to California, I think. So he talked about spiritual growth, and they showed him in nature and stuff, which is cool. He said it's helped him relax in the past year. Unfortunately, he looked kind of too relaxed, maybe too much spiritual growth, because he ended up almost timing out. He cleared with 0.1 seconds. I'll get to that. I kind of have to loop back to the front. He swung around a lot on tire run, which also drained a lot of his time. I think he was trying to get the landing lined up because it's awkward, but I noticed that was running down the clock. And then he grabbed the back. Okay, this is weird. He grabbed the back of the first hook because it's a double side hook, which I don't really know why it's there for this sort of obstacle. Maybe they had different plans originally, because it doesn't really make sense to be there. But he grabbed the back of it, which I would think would be a DQ, because you're not supposed to grab onto the handle part. This was the run that they used as a trailer, and I clicked it off curiosity because I like to see the obstacles. And I figured that they just let them grab the handle on that obstacle. But he was the only one to do it, so I'm wondering if it was a technical DQ, but they didn't want to get him out because it was so small, and also because it was an exciting ending. I don't know, but it was kind of weird. unfortunately. But it would also kind of suck to eliminate him on something like that, so I get it. Um, oh yeah, I was like, it was crazy. They had this exciting like finish, but they didn't show the timer, so it felt a lot less genuine to me at least. They should always show the timer in stage one. I mean, it's a time course, and it's just feels less genuine when you can't see the clock. Then they just tell you, oh, you finished with 0.1 seconds left. Sometimes they'll do that also to like build tension in other shows, like not take the clock away so you don't see who's faster. But I like to know where they're at. I feel like that's easier to follow. So that was annoying. Then they tease that someone's getting a tattoo of Matt and Akbar on their arm, and it was like they're like, oh, who got that? But if you watch the summer finals, you know who got it because they talked about it in the episode. But I guess some people haven't probably. Then we fast forward to Sean Harris. He failed the first he failed the first sliding boards, or what's it called? I forget. He failed it. He slid down the slope and faceplanted. Not good. I'm sure he just had a bad step and stuff, but it looked painful, and it's definitely a frustrating way to go out. Then we had a Kevin Carbone. He came in a box. This is a fast forward, and he cleared, so that's good. Then we had Tyler Gillette, who almost overshot the dipper landing, but he cleared. And they pointed out that he's never failed stage one, so that's a good statistic for this many seasons of competing. Then we had Lucas Reale. They flash back to stage 3 where they 7 out of 20. What's his name? Oh yeah, they have 7 out of 21 stage 3 comparatives left. And then they point out like the stage 3 curse that a lot of the people that made stage 3 in season 11 have already failed. There's also a thing like a lot of people made stage 3, so not to take away from the achievement because it's always good to make stage 3, but it was a different type of achievement in season 11, just because of they nerfed stage 2. But yeah, so that explains why there's a curse, But that's interesting to know. It is kind of weird, even if it's not as weird as it may seem. Unfortunately, he jumped way too early on split decision. He went for the high road with the sliding ring, and he missed it. And this is where I realized, like, at first I thought you should go for the ring, because it doesn't move too fast, and I thought I'd be able to catch it even if I tried. But I think it's a bigger jump to the ring, and it's also the timing element, and he just went too early. So I think at this point I would do the flying Lachey. Although I probably myself, just because I can't really do those big moves, would have a better chance of just jumping up to the sliding ring. But high road is definitely more difficult than I expected. So I get why not many people did it based on the angle they have to make. This is the first person that attempted, I believe. Pretty late in the episode actually. Then we had Isabella Wakeham. So her mom got the tattoos of Matt and Akbar, as I alluded to, and as they teased earlier on. I guess they're permanent. I feel like I won't want those past like a week. Not to like say it's a bad idea, because it's just a decision, whatever. But I might regret that when I'm like 80 years old and I have these hosts on my arm. I don't know. I also just don't. I don't know. If it was just like a more generic design, I'd get it. But that's quite the tattoo to get, or tattoos. But anyway, she almost fell backwards off the slope of the sliding boards. The surf slider is what it's called. And then she almost missed the incline of the blades, but she grabbed the sides of the platform luckily and climbed up. So those slopes were causing difficulty. Oh, and then she I noticed in the background of her going on the jumping spider that they were moving the handle back to on Tyra Rum, which this isn't related to her at all, but it just seems like they should have that ready before that point, just in case they have like the comparator's going really fast, so they have a mistake. I feel like it should be set up before they hit the start button, and definitely before they start the obstacle before it, because the course will be prepared so there's no last minute issues. In my opinion, maybe they're trying to save time and reset while they're running, but that's risky, I think. Anyway, they quickly no, she just barely missed the first wall grab, but she barely made it on the second grab, so she was up. she didn't have much of a chance unless she got the high road, and even then, I think she would have timed out. Yeah, she would have timed out. She had hardly any time left. But anyway, she failed the dropping birds on the end. The dipping birds, I guess. They said she made it to the eighth obstacle, but she didn't because she didn't clear the birds, which was the seventh obstacle. So that was weird. Also, a weird comment right after that was that she's the seventh woman to ever clear the jumping spider and the warped wall, which I don't know the numbers like exactly, so I'm not sure. But were they saying that the same number of people have cleared the spider as the warped wall? Because I feel like some women have failed the warped wall that made it to the jumping spider. Or were they saying like the first one to clear both? But then that's redundant because the jumping spider's always been there. So obviously, if you clear the wall, you've also cleared the jumping spider. I don't know. Probably thinking about it too, like probably being too pedantic about it, but it seemed weird. Anyway, it was a good run though. Not to like have all these complaints. It was a good run in itself. It just some weird things that they said in terms of like statistics. Then we had to fast forward with Jay Lewis, who landed on the sloped edge of the. Oh yeah, he landed on the front edge of the double dipper platform and fell, which is disappointing. I thought he'd do better, but it's a tough obstacle. I think it's one of the biggest obstacles. Then they had Max Feinberg, who almost overshot the double dipper landing, but cleared. So good. Then they advanced Walker. They did the story about his leg braces due to cerebral palsy, and he cleared. So that's good. It's kind of a giveaway that he cleared because I never mentioned the safety pass during his run. So it's like, I figured he'd clear, but, good for him keeping the safety pass for stage 2. I'm not sure if he'll need it, but it's always good to have, even though I don't approve of it. Then we have fast forward with Elijah Browning. He cleared, and Akbar signed a baseball card for him, which was cool. He collects baseball cards. Then we got Austin Gray, who they skipped again. He also did safety pass, and he cleared, so he still has the pass as well, which is good. Hopefully they show him stage 2 after many cuts. The only time they show him this season, I think, is when he made the power tower, when they basically had to. So it's disappointing that he's not getting more coverage, especially after being runner-up, but he's one of those people that skipped a lot, unfortunately. Then they had Daniel Gill on the screen, and unfortunately he announced that he can't compete because he got COVID. So it's really unfortunate and kind of almost coincidental. I don't know if coincidental is the right word for that, but it's pretty crazy. It took out the biggest competitor of anyone that could get it. That Daniel Gill got it, so that sucks. I've seen some people say like he probably should have been more careful and stuff, but I think that's unfair on like the count that we don't know what he did. He could have gone to the store and gotten it. He could have been at work. You can be anywhere and get this. It's just like any other sickness. So you can't necessarily assume that he wasn't taking the right precautions, because I know I haven't gotten it, and a lot of people that take a lot of precautions have gotten it. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of, it's unfortunate, but it spreads, And also, I think we've been at this for 18 months now, and we can't be locked in place forever because of it. So if he did go to something, if he did go out and train at a gym or something, I'm not judging him at all, because, that's his personal choice. I'm sad that that whatever happened, it influenced him in not being able to compete in Vegas. I feel bad about that. And I'm hoping soon enough that won't be a factor, because we'll just treat it like kind of like a cold or the flu, where you get it, you feel better, you come out, you go out of home again. You don't quarantine for 2 weeks for something you're not really experiencing. So anyway, I feel more bad for him than anything, and I just think it's unfortunate. And hopefully soon that will be in the rear view mirror. I don't know whether that commentary will be popular, but I'm sorry, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, AEW has a really bad luck or bad record with winners not coming back. Because the year after season 7, Isaac didn't return and Jeff did, and did for 1 year, and then he quit, and then Drew, the Drew story, and then Daniel Gill wins, albeit a different type of win because of the different season, and then he can't compete. So it's just a really bad luck with that. And then Akbar announced he'd be replaced by Jody Avila, who made the jumping spider look smaller because he's so like bending to fit in there because he's taller. And then he fell on the dipping birds by coming up short on the second one, and he knocked part of the back of the bird off. So that's unfortunate for him and for the course people. But I think the dipping birds must be harder than I see them as, and I think also like rushing for the ring, people make like mental errors. Although I can't remember if he was going for the ring, but I'm gonna assume he was because most people did. So I think that's part of it. And I guess I'm glad it's taking out people, even though I'm sad for them. It's like, it's good to see that it's a somewhat deadly obstacle, or somewhat failable obstacle. But I read that in last year it was going to be the first obstacle, stage 1, which I think would have been better. And they could have put the surf slider in 7th, they could have swapped those. I think that would have gone better, but that's just me. Then we had Davin Matoyer. I was so glad they showed him, because he never hardly gets shown. I liked on the surf slider, he actually surfed on the boards, unlike most people. And they talked about how he's like the stylish ninja, which is cool. He landed on the sloped edge of the... Oh yeah, they recapped how he failed the double dipper in 2017, and then he landed like on the very edge of the platform this year. And this time it sloped. In 2017 it wasn't, but they made it slope since. And he almost had the same result. It was 2017 because of that, but he was able to climb up. He did a 360 on the wall, which is cool. He's done that in qualifying. I want to say last season, but I'm blurring it in my mind. But that's a cool trick. And he was the first to actually make the sliding ring on split decision, the first and only so far. He climbed up the ladder, which is a much more stable way to get there than the ropes. And he wiped the buzzer down with a handkerchief and cleared. I like the character he has with the dapper outfit and all that. That's different. And also it's different because they never show him. So good for him this time. Then they fast forward with Caden Mazolin. He went slowly and timed out on the cargo net, unfortunately, which I thought he might clear, but sadly not. Then we had another Caden Lebsack, who cleared. Not surprised. And then, oh yeah, he missed. Wait. Oh yeah. Moving on to Joe. I forgot to type his name, but they mentioned he had safety pass, which instantly set off a red flag because they mentioned it, unlike the other runners who had it this week. By the way, we haven't seen Brian Burkhart run yet at all. He'll be next week, which also makes me think he got clear because they'd probably split over 2 episodes if he didn't, as they did with Joe. That's just my guess. He tried to do the fast route, the high road on split decision, and he missed the jump, just like Lucas Reale. So he was out and he was upset. He was mad that he had to use the safety pass because he was hoping, like, even though he was happy to have it, he was hoping he wouldn't have to use it, or he could at least save it. But unfortunately, it happened. So now he's in trouble and he has to rerun. And I hope the pressure doesn't get to him, but it will build up, unfortunately. So I hope he can overcome that. It's tough. So that's unfortunate. But I like how they ended with a fail because that's different. Then we had, so overall this episode we had 12 clears. Let me get them up. Okay, so in order of fastest to slowest, we have Christian Yost. No, wait, I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Not in order of fastest to slowest because I'm reading a different type of leaderboard this week. We got Isaiah Thomas, Matt Bradley, Sean Bryan, Amrail, Kevin Carbone, Tyler Gillette, Max Feinberg, Vance Walker, Elijah Browning, Austin Gray, Donovan Matoyer, and Caleb Lebsack, who cleared this week. That's 12 clears, 5 of them being teenagers. So that's good. I'm kind of hoping, just for the sake of being right, that we get 22 clears, so 10 more next week. I think that's possible, but it could be not exactly that. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm excited for the next one. I'm excited to see Stage 2 as well. And I hope they get it right for once. But until then, I'll see you. Alright, I'm back for episode 2. Sorry if I sound like different, but I just got better from being sick last week. So I'm still kind of congested, and also this is the next Monday, so it's been a week since I've watched this. unfortunately. So hopefully I remember what I'm talking about. Yeah. How could you not be excited for the review after that intro? Okay, so starting with Brett Sims, it was great to see them show him because he hasn't gotten much focus over the past like 5 years, but he's always been a good competitor and an OG competitor. His piece was on moving, on improving, but the stage one is also getting more difficult. But it was kind of good to see like the juxtaposition to all the kids that are competing, and then have him, and they definitely made a point of that with that segment. So that was a good profile as far as those go. He failed his first warp wall attempts, unfortunately, so that was kind of a bad omen. And then he made it to the fly hooks, but he failed the on the net due to he took an extra swing, and if he didn't do that, he might have cleared. But he timed out because he took too long to get to the net and didn't give enough time to climb it. Very similar start to last week with whoever it was that failed the cargo net. I don't remember the name anymore, unfortunately. But it's interesting that they start like that. Then we have a fast forward with Brittany Durant, who failed the swinging blades. She's the one that I mentioned like at the end of the qualifying episode because I forgot to mention during. Unfortunately, it was pretty quick, and she didn't get much coverage again. But still a good run. I think, or a good season, not really a good run, unfortunately. But we can see her back. And Dan Champagne, who I do remember from qualifying, had a close call on the surf slider ramp. He almost fell backwards, but was able to climb up it. He brought the champagne bottle with him because his name. I knew someone with the last name Champagne. It's an interesting one. It's a good, if you're gonna go on Ninja, it's a good last name to have because you can have like a gimmick right there for you. And then he unfortunately fell backwards on the jumping spider though, so he was out too. Then we had Enzo Wilson, Electric Enzo. He talked about driving. He got his driver's license, so that's good. They mentioned the beach cleanup again, which we already talked about before because I remember mentioning it. So I don't know if that needed to be brought up twice, but that's Ninja for you. Wait a second. He had a good save on Tyre Run, and he cleared the course. So there you have it. I kind of could tell from the beginning of his run, they was gonna make it, just because they tend to like showing like a younger person clear first, and I just felt like it was about time for a clear, and they're doing clears earlier this year, and especially since stage one is only half the episode. I just have a feeling I could kind of tell he was gonna clear, or was at least strongly convinced. Then next up we have Ryan Meeks in a fast forward segment. He surfed down on the surf slider, kind of like Donovan last week, and he fell down on the double dipper landing, but he made it. And again, I know I've said this before this season, it was surprising when he cleared the way they presented it, because I think it just sounded like they were gonna say he failed, but then they threw like a curveball and so he made it. I don't know why I sometimes think that. Maybe I'm just like crazy, and they're not implying that he's gonna fail, but I just like something about it felt like a curveball to me. I don't know if they're trying to make those segments less predictable, just to be like, I don't know, more interesting. It's just something feels weird about them this year. Then we have Jamie Rowan. They recapped in 2018 his shoe fell off, and he surprisingly failed the fly hooks. So that was that. So, wait. Oh my gosh! I just realized you can hear the scooters, like the campus scooters they have here through the window, because they make this like, I don't know, like when you abandon the scooter, they make like a loud like beeping noise or like alarm sort of noise, and it's pretty loud outside, but I didn't realize you can hear it through the window. So hopefully that's not gonna flood into the video. I don't think it will because it's pretty hard to hear from inside, but I just heard it. I don't know. I don't know why they have to have the alarm sound, but it's like hopefully it doesn't happen at night, or else I'm not gonna be able to sleep. But okay, back to the show. Then we have we have Megan Martin. This was surprising. She tripped on the surf slider. I think she like started a trip on the second one, then fell over the third one and crashed into the landing ramp. So she failed at the first obstacle, which is unfortunate after her couple of a few good episodes in a row between the women's tournament and this season. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but she'll be back, I'm sure. Then we have Brian Burkhart. They showed, if you remember the lawyer interview from semifinals, they showed some outtakes from that, which is funny. I like the lawyer thing, so it worked. Then he almost tripped on the surf slider, so that would have been a very depressing section of the episode. But he made it over, which I knew he would. I knew they weren't gonna have two surf slider fails back to back, just because this is A&W. You can kind of tell how it's gonna be edited. There was some like negative talk during his run. I don't exactly remember what, because it's been a week, but I remember writing it, talking about how it's been a while. Like they said, he hasn't cleared stage 1 in 3 years, which isn't very significant, because that's like really only that's 2018 to now, so that's like 2 years without clearing, and then last year Daniel didn't have Vegas, so that just means he failed in 2019. And 2019 was an easier year, but still, it doesn't mean much that he hasn't made it in 3 years. And there's a couple other things, but the way they're talking, I thought they were gonna be telegraphing like a failure, so I was surprised and glad. He cleared. He had a one-handed grab on the high road. It was so close. I thought he was gonna fail that at the end, but luckily he got it. And this episode had a lot more high road success, so definitely looked easier this week. So now I'm back to my initial conclusion that I would go for high road, just because that hook cliche with the ring looks tougher to me. But I'm sure the high road is tough too. Then we have fast forward with Tyler Yamauchi, who cleared, and RJ Roman, who they said he avoided the curse, which of all the things from last week to like revive, the curse thing was it doesn't mean much. I'll get to that in a bit because they're gonna mention it again in stage 2, but it's just kind of, I don't know, doesn't mean much. But then they tricked me with their editing, because he's avoided the curse until tonight, and I thought they were gonna say he cleared because they said he avoided it, but then they like threw another curveball. So at that point, I was convinced that they're trying to make the While You Were Away segments more unpredictable and have more like surprises. Unless I'm just like my hearing's just going down or something, and I keep misinterpreting them. But I think they're trying to make those kind of deceiving to be more interesting, especially since they have longer segments for the fast forwards this year. They're trying to make them more like a real run that you can watch and kind of not know what's gonna happen. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. Then we have Hero's Redemption despite food poisoning. I have to say, because I felt bad with the surprise fail last week. I was really rooting for him to clear, because it would suck like to fail twice in a row, and you just feel like really bad. I think, especially Joe, because he takes it seriously. You can tell. So I was really glad he cleared it, and he cleared it in good time. I think he had the second fastest time of the night, and that was a ton of time left on the clock. So luckily, he was definitely in the right to go with the fly hooks this time for multiple reasons, and he made it. So that's good. So they had a daytime fast forward, or like an evening dusk fast forward, because they ran out of time due to the weather, which I appreciate. They like just mentioned, okay, we ran out of time, so we ran some people during the day, rather than trying to like cut them from the show because they want to like avoid showing stuff in the daytime. Just admit it. It doesn't really matter. I kind of like when they film in the day, so I appreciate the honesty there, rather than like what they've done in the past with daytime filming. So we had in this segment Kara Mack, who failed the jumping spider, Heather Weisinger, who failed the swinging blades. It seems like it's always a jump to the blades that gets people, and not the actual lache between them, or at least almost always. I'm not sure though. Maybe have we had a failure on the transition, or has it all been the jump to the blade? I don't know. I think there's one transition failure, but it's really surprising how people fail that obstacle. It kind of makes it like the giant cycle, and that the challenge is jumping to it rather than anything else. Then we have Bob Reese, who failed the double dipper. He really tried. He did like a pullover on the bar, and he tried to take his shoes off so they didn't get wet, and then he twisted out. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I didn't think he'd be allowed to get on top of the bar on the double dipper, but it doesn't really matter because there's no way in the world that you're gonna recover from that once the bar is stopped. So whatever. Then we had a Ninja Junior promotion. In the past, I watched the first episode of season 1, and it just wasn't for me. It's a kids show, so I'm sure it has fans, but for me it was just eh. And then season 2 had different obstacles, but I could tell it was gonna be repetitive again, so I just didn't watch it. But I will say the trailer for season 3 looks a lot better than the first 2, from what I can tell. It's probably still gonna be repetitive, and I probably still won't watch it, but it just looks a bit more improved, so that's good. And luckily I'm not attached to the first 2 seasons because they've probably been like burnt now due to the unfortunate nature of one of the coaches who's no longer around, but So yeah, I doubt that's available to watch anyway. Then we had a fast forward. Wait a second, wait, did I miss No, wait, the fast forward, the previous fast forward I talked about was before the break, okay. I was confused because I thought I missed a run in between the fast forwards, but I forgot it was before the break. So we had Kai Beckstrand clear and Jonathan Godbat clear. I have no info about their runs, I just wrote that they cleared. So that's good. They must have done pretty well. And then we had Brett Hernandez Strong, who I'm pretty sure he was the mega wall clear that kind of came out of nowhere in qualifying. This story was kind of not as good as most of the episode because I really enjoyed this episode overall, but this story wasn't great. Basically, his grandma died, I think. He's trying to he's running for her, which is I don't know, it's kind of weird that kind of story. And NBC likes to give people those stories, but I've never been a fan of those. And unfortunately, he failed the swinging blades. I think he failed the jump as well. And then they showed him him crying on the sidelines, I'm sorry, Grandma. And it's just I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of that part. It seems I don't know. I just don't know if NBC should force people to, or not force, but encourage people to talk about their deaths and stuff. It's just kind of weird. It seems like they're exploiting the person's emotions. I don't know. That's just how I feel. But I never liked those stories, unfortunately. Then we had Lance Pekus, who, oh yeah, I was kind of worried because this is another story that's kind of just sad. Although because it's Lance Pekus, I get it a bit more because it's someone we know and we've known his wife for a while, so I kind of get the MS story, but it's still not a very nice story. So it's just eh. But luckily, this was good news. He got his pilot's license, or he learned how to fly a plane. I assume he has his license. And he allowed his wife to fly in the plane, I think. So that was a good that's good. That's good news. So I appreciated that. Unfortunately, though, he was on the middle tire run, or the lone tire in the middle of the pool, and he tripped and flipped off. So he's out, which is surprising. But he I don't think he made it to stage 3 in 2019, but I think he had a better run that year. But I hope he can have a good run next year, because it's been a while since he's really, really done well. But I think he can put that together, hopefully. But he's getting kind of old, so I don't know. Then we had a fast forward with Janique Levette. She tumbled over the tires at the end and failed there. So back-to-back tire run fails, huh? And then Kyle Soderman, he did. He got he got skipped in all three because he got skipped in qualifying, semifinals, and finals, Vegas finals. I mean, so that sucks. It makes you wonder, like, did these people do something, or the show just doesn't find them interesting, or like what happened? Because they used to show him. I think in 2019 they showed him, but I don't know. Maybe it's just their editing. Then he set the new fastest time, but it's like obvious it's not going to hold because they skipped it, and they always show the fastest time, especially in stage one. So there's that. And he cleared with the high road, but it's just like weird when they skip the fastest time because you know someone's going to immediately beat it. And that happened right here with Jake Murray, who ran next. They gave him the story about like doing different like daredevil type things, like jumping off stuff, climbing into caves, which looks awful because it's so claustrophobic. But what else did they? Oh yeah, they showed him doing a new jump with the Kyle Soderman and Hunter Gerard. I think they had a name for their group, but I kind of forget what it is. Is it like the blonde-haired beast? I don't know. It was something like that. But yeah, it was just as far as stories go, it was fine because it was like at least ninja related. Um, I noticed on the Dipping Birds there was a controversial save, or at least in my mind, it's controversial. He kind of used the post of the second bird, or like I guess the body of the bird, as you could call it, just to save himself on it. And I guess that's legal, but it seemed kind of weird. But they're not gonna, even if it was a violation, which I'm not sure, they're not gonna stop Jake Murray and correct him on that because they want a fast time, and they also just they can be kind of lax on those type of enforcements. So yeah, I don't know. And he cleared with the high road, so that was the fast option. And I believe, yeah, he got the fastest time. Yeah. Then we fast forward Hunter Gerard, who's also a third time skip. Um, he did like on the jumping spider, he did like the cross slider dismount with only his arms in the spider, which is tougher. But his feet were slipping, so that's why I did it. Thanks to all the dust that I've heard was around because of the weather. He had a tough grab on the second steering wheel. I believe he got like kind of an awkward swing if I remember. Then he had 4 tries in the warped wall, which was surprising. But I think he was trying to push the pace, and unfortunately he couldn't have time to recover. And then he stumbled on Dipping Birds and he timed out near the beginning of, or on the platform between the 7th and 8th obstacle, I think. So that sucks. Especially someone who goes fast, he just got caught up and it happens, but it's like, it was surprising, I'll say. Then the last runner of stage 1 was Jesse Lebrec. They'll often have the person who runs last be the fastest, but also it's not surprising that they say Jesse for last because of how her run went. It also, when they showed her last, I kind of knew she was going to clear just based on their predictable editing sort of stuff. Even though they've gone better about their editing, it's still kind of predictable at times. So her stories about practicing on cargo nets and also practicing when she's tired, which were 2 things that she definitely was right to target based on the past. So that's good. She had a smooth run, and she cleared. She's also the first woman to finish the first 3 courses of the season. Because we had Jessie Graff clear this in 2016, but she didn't clear the finals. I don't know if she cleared the qualifying. I can't remember. And then we had Alyssa Beard, who also didn't clear finals in 2017. So she's the first to clear qualifying, semifinals, and stage 1 of Vegas. So that's a good, the first perfect season, I guess you could say, for a woman in this show. So that's really good. And that brought close to stage 1. I really like the course overall. I know I said stage 1 is pretty good, it's a pretty good course. Now stage 2 is great. I love stage 2 this year, which I did not expect to say, and it's not even like, I don't know, I would not expect to say that, but this course just works well. So it starts, I'm going to go through the course. It starts with the strutting steps, which is interesting because that's from the All-Star special, and they're taking it for the real show. which is kind of weird. But as long as it's like a faster start than much of what we've had recently. I know the walk the plank was pretty fast, but this I would say is even faster. And I like how the steps get smaller as you go, and I also like how the rope goes directly to the next obstacle with no platform in between. It's kind of like a fast way to start the stage, and I appreciate that. Then we have the double salmon ladders back, but because Ninja doesn't like to just like bring back older obstacles, they had to like update it. So this salmon ladder works as you climb the ladder, and then the top of the ladder is actually a rung. It's like a wider rung with both sides, but you can still you can overshoot it if you go too far. And we saw people that were worried about that. And once you get to the top of the first ladder, you have to go up the second one. And then I'm trying to remember, did you go to the top of the second one or just up it like the previous versions? Whoops. Let me pull up the obstacle real quick. I don't know why I forgot to do this before. Salmon ladder. Okay. We didn't see too many runs in this course. In my defense, we only saw maybe 4 or 5 full runs, but we're gonna see more tonight because it's Monday already. Yeah, the second ladder you have to make it to the top as well. So, okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. Then you have to go down this long bar. It's kind of awkward, especially on like a speed stage where it should be as fast as possible. But, you know, I'll give them a break, I guess. I like the course, so I'll give them a break on this. But at the bottom of the bar, you start the V formation, which is, I will say I'm surprised that they brought this one back of all the stuff to revive. This is from the first 2 episodes of qualifying, and it's basically like going up those hooks. You have to bring this like sliding grip through these locks, and as you go up, you lock into place and you keep going. Then you grab this ledge on top, and you go down these V-shaped grips. I think you have to grab the last one. That was definitely true in qualifying, and I think it's true here. It's kind of awkward, and I would probably give some points off the stage if it interrupted the flow more, but most people made it through pretty easily, so I'll let it be. But it is kind of a weird one. Then we have it's kind of like the evolution of the swing surfer. It's called shoot, I need to do more preparation for this. I thought I could wing it, but I need to there's gonna be some editing involved here. There we go. It's called the hammer drop. I knew that. So basically, you have to jump to this like pretty wide in circumference pillar. You have to grab onto the sides of it, which are like little indents into it. You have to grab on, and it's gonna swing out. So you have to wrap around it, and then once it like swings downwards, you have to climb on top of it. This move kind of reminds me of like climbing a tree where you have to like get yourself over the branch. Although this swing sort of thing is probably wider, but it's also more grippy with those indents. So people didn't have too much trouble climbing on top of it, but it's definitely an interesting move and kind of different. Then the dismount, you have to jump off the swing to the rope, and as you jump off the swing, it'll swing backwards because the momentum you put on it, the force you put on it. And then you have to swing to that wall that they also had on the swing surfer, which is basically like these little ledges that you climb up like a ladder and make it over. It's a good thing they got rid of the swing surfer because it would be confusing to have the swing surfer back to back with the air surfer. But yeah, luckily we got a new 4th obstacle, and also it's just more, it's original, it's at least different. The second part, jumping off of it, is kind of similar to the swing surfer, but I appreciate them trying to change it. And they did do a good job of updating this whole stage, by the way. I'll give them that. And then we have the Epic Air Surfer. The Epic title is always kind of silly to me, calling stuff that. But, you know, if they want to, like, signify that it's different than the original version, then I'll accept it. It didn't seem too different. I think it was bigger jumps and more moves. And I think it was all downhill. Actually, it always is all downhill. Um, but it was pretty tough moves because these were like small platforms to land on. Um, and it definitely seemed like a challenge doing this and also trying to be quick enough to make the time limit. A lot of people didn't have too much trouble with it, but it's a good obstacle. It's better than Winged Nut Alley. That's the main deal. And the Grim Sweeper is too easy, so I think this is a better medium. And I'm curious to see how it does damage tonight. And the final obstacle, and this is interesting because you'd expect some kind of wall lifting or wall flip. It's actually the falling shelves from the season 12 finals. So it's basically um, it's four sets of shelves instead of three from last year. And the last one's that backwards catch, the infamous backwards catch that always makes the obstacles tough, especially if it's the Angry Birds. But you have to get through it, and the time is winding down, and you have to grab that last catch with probably about half a minute left or under half a minute left. So it's a pretty tough obstacle, and I like it as an end to the stage. Um, it's different, but as I said, I appreciate them kind of changing the format after like having this course for 8 years now, I guess. 9 years, but we took a year off last year. But it's good, and I think that the wall lift is a good obstacle. It's just that in A&W the time limit's so long that it works better to not have like a time killing obstacle last because usually people have no trouble on it because they have a bunch of time left, which is its own issue that they have such a long time limit. But that is a conversation for another day. But yeah, I'm happy with a different finish obstacle, and the water walls were never that great. Even though they took a bit longer to complete, they were never that great to me. So I'm fine with this obstacle. And speaking of long time limits, they have 3 minutes, 30 seconds to clear the course, which is interesting. I was watching the season 4 stage 2 the other day, and it's exactly twice as long as that limit, which is kind of depressing because it's supposed to be a speed stage, but A&W is kind of taking its own interpretation of stage 2. And even though it's not like perfect, I really like the stage 2 just for being an improvement on the past, so I'll give it that. Okay, so the first runner we had was Elijah Browning, and he had a story about his grandma. I was kind of worried after our last grandma story what would come of this one, but luckily it was not like a depressing or sad story. It was that his grandma likes to watch him train and stuff, and they had her on the call, so that was a fine story. I like that one. He did a reverse grab on the V formation ledge, although I just realized that a bunch of people did that, so it's not really noteworthy. I guess just the angle that it's better to get to the V's if you're doing the backwards grab on the ledge, which makes sense, but I know it. So he made it all the way to the falling shelves and he failed the last jump. So this is an interesting trend that they've been doing in Vegas where the first run in each stage, or to start the stage off in the second episode, because the first runner in stage 1 this episode also did this, failed the final obstacle. The first 2 times in stage 1 it was a timeout, but this time it's just falling into the water. It's just an interesting note. I don't want them to always do it, but it's different to have someone start by failing the last obstacle. But yeah, he had a good run, a good demonstration. I was kind of worried though that he was gonna make it because I want stage 2 to seem hard this year after season 11, but he didn't make it. So yeah, nothing against him, but I was kind of hoping that the first few people would fail so we could have like a tough stage, which definitely happened. So that's good. Then we had a fast forward with Anthony Porter who failed the hammer drop, the drop of the hammer drop, and Terry Harrington who had a close call on the hammer drop but failed the air surfer. Then we had Donovan Matoyer. I'm so glad he got 2 weeks in a row of coverage. Unfortunately, this one didn't go as great because he had an unfortunate fail on the rope of the striding steps, so it was over pretty quickly. But it's good. It's good to see him getting covered. Maybe next year he'll get a bit more feature. Then we had Vance Walker, who this was surprising because he had the safety pass, and I kind of felt like he might need to use it just because I don't know. It seems like he's had such a perfect record for so long that has to end eventually, even though it's kind of like a backwards way to think of it because it really just means he's good. But I kind of felt like he might fail this stage, and unfortunately, he overthought the modified salmon ladder just because it's kind of a different setup, and he didn't want to overshoot the top of the ladder. He missed, so they basically put him like showed him throwing his safety pass into the water. Wait, no, that was Joe. They showed him taking his safety pass off. I also noticed that salmon ladder bar is kind of differently supported. Like it's hanging down from the middle now, the cable instead of how it used to be. So that could also change if people approach the obstacle. I don't know, but it's definitely different. So that's interesting. Then we had a fast forward with Tyler Gillette, who missed on the salmon ladder. He missed the ring on the salmon ladder. What's that mean? I don't know why I put ring. He failed the salmon ladder though, which is unfortunate. And then they reviewed again the stage 3 curse. And they said only 3 of them are still standing, and one of them was the upcoming runner Kevin Carbone. I'll explain why this is like a stupid thing to mention, or just a bunch of different reasons why. Okay, so the 2 best people from season 11, unfortunately, one of them is not a great person, Drew Drechsel. He's not able to run the course anymore, and for good reason. So that's one person down. Then we have Daniel Gill, who got COVID, so he can't compete. So that's like the top 2 people not competing. Then a bunch of the people that made it stage 3 didn't get invited back at all this year, which I think sucks because they had a pretty good season. I think stage 3 should guarantee you a return, but that's just me. Then there's some people that have failed in the regionals, people who failed in earlier stages, which is true. But you know, when you factor in the people that they didn't invite back or who couldn't compete, you realize that the curse isn't as much as they make it sound. It is kind of weird that only 3 were left standing at this point, but it's not as weird as they make it seem. Just because, also as I said, and last time I think, it's not like an accurate representation of who would usually make it stage 3 because the stage 2 in 2019 was so easy. So it's not like a big curse. It's just bringing up the difficulty will naturally have that result of most people failing earlier. So that's my thought. I know most of them didn't even make it to stage 2 this year, but it's still like, it's just not very surprising to me. I don't know. It makes sense when you realize that stage 2 was really easy in 2019. Not to downplay the achievement, but it was. Then we had Kevin Carbone, who I've noticed he tends to appear in the same segment as Tyler Gillette. I've noticed that several times this year, and I think the reason why I noticed that is because they both starred in Daytona, and I was at Daytona, so I confused them personally. I thought Kevin Carbone was Tyler Gillette when I was there, so I don't know if like there's a reason they include them together, or it's just because they're both from Daytona, qualifying as their first appearance, or I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I've noticed it because I had the same. I think of them as similar in my head just because of that. I don't know, but it's interesting that they always show them together because it's happened a few times now. And to be fair, they skipped over Tyler Gillette and they showed Kevin Carbone in full, so it's a bit different, but still same segment. He had a risky V formation attempt, but he made it, but unfortunately he failed the air surfer, which sucks, and he was out. So that is a shame, but a pretty good run. Then we had Max Feinberg, who was representing the breast cancer. He had some awkward steps on the striding steps, but made it through luckily. But unfortunately, he failed on the hammer drop, which was a shame. But yeah, so he was out there, and that sucks. But he'll be back next year, I'm sure. And then we have Vance Walker's second attempt. What can I say about that run? He was careful on the salmon ladder. He thought he kind of corrected the bar before going to the top, which I think was smart after what happened last time. But he didn't overthink it, obviously, so that's good. Then on the hammer drop, he almost missed the grip with his left hand, but he was able to hang on with his right hand and his leg somehow, thankfully, and climb on top of it and got through. And then he failed. He cleared the falling shelves, pretty easily, and he comfortably cleared the course, the first one of the day. And at this point, I was glad to see him clear because, again, it would suck to fail twice in a row, even with the safety pass. So I'm glad he made it. By the way, the falling shelves this time have the first two lock into place, unlike in the last time they appeared where they all swung. But I think that's fair because there's more of them, and that backwards catch is still just as difficult, so it doesn't make it too much easier. Overall, I really like this episode. There was lots of good runs, and I'm looking forward to 4 hours from now when I watch the final episode. And then soon I'll post this up, and it'll be my last post for a while. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the episode. I think it's gonna be a good end to the season. Again, I'm hoping there's not a winner, but if there is, that's fine too. I'm just curious to see what happens and how stage 3 is, because stage 3 is typically my favorite stage. Of course, my hope is gone for stage 4 because it's gonna be the same thing again. But I'm hoping they do a good job with stage 3 at least. And until next time, thanks for watching. Alright guys, so episode 3 just aired of Vegas episode 3. So that's going to be the last thing of the season and the last thing that I filmed for a while because, as I've alluded to recently, I'm going to take a break, particularly because I'm up in college, but I'm just going to take a break for a few months from posting on this channel. But first we got to review this. I'm a bit later than I wanted to. I wanted to be really quick to the punch with this since I haven't been in the past, and also because like the first 2 weeks are already kind of distant, so I wanted to be more timely with this. But unfortunately, I'm filming this on the Saturday afterwards, so it's still gonna be about a week late. Hopefully, I can edit it tonight. But yeah, that's just the logistics behind it. Let me get to the episode. So overall, episode 3 was good. It was good as a standalone episode, I think, but as like a part of the season, it showed that they've made some questionable choices earlier on, like including last week and the week before that and every week before that, basically, where they cut people that did really well later on. I've mentioned that they're kind of predictable before they're editing, so I appreciate it being not as predictable, but they also need to like not just introduce people in the final episode that are gonna do really well, especially their last man standing. So we have like the opposite problem as usual. He didn't get enough coverage, so it was like 2 out of left field. So yeah, but I'm gonna start with just stage 2, just normal stuff. So we start with Isaiah Thomas, the flyboy. He's one of the teenagers this year. He failed the air surfer. And I saw this coming. Like when he tried to go for the jump from that point, he missed the landing because he didn't move up enough on the first set of rungs. So that one I saw coming, and I think he was just mentally like trying to rush, and unfortunately he didn't think through the move, and he probably could have afforded to take a second there to hop forward, and obviously it would have probably worked out better on the jump. So unfortunately he's out there. He might have cleared without that, I don't know. He's pretty good, so that sucks, but he'll be back, I'm guessing. Then we had Adam Rail. Wait a second, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I think Adam Rail was part of the first segment. Yeah, he was. He had a profile with Sean Bryan, which immediately made me nervous because when one person's shown in one of these like duo pieces, the other one's usually fast forwarded. So I thought Sean Bryan would be fast forwarded, and I was right. So that sucks. They should show him. He's not like my favorite to win it this year, but he's up there. He's a good competitor, and he's made it stage 3 in the past, so he deserves to be seen, I think, because he made it there in not 2010, season 10. So just 2 Vegas tournaments to go. So he's pretty good. But Adam Rail started the falling shelves with 30 seconds left. I was nervous for him time wise. It was kind of nice to have some tension time wise. I was trying to I was like, hurry up! You have to get off the platform to start this, so you don't run out of time at the end. But unfortunately, he didn't run out of time. He just failed the backwards grab, among many others, so he's out there. I kind of saw it coming since it was so early in the episode, but it still sucks. So then we had a commercial break with Sean Bryan, or a fast forward with Sean Bryan. They don't do commercial runs anymore, but that could be confusing. So yeah, it was a fast forward, the usual. And I predicted that, as I said, with the um, Adam Rail feature, and he failed. And he also failed the falling shelves on the last backwards grab, so that sucks. I guess there are a lot of those types of fails, so they had to skip some of them to not make it too repetitive, but they could have shown Sean Bryan, I think. At least like in a mid-cut format where they start him like mid-run. I think he deserves some kind of feature. By the way, I'm sorry that my voice still sounds weird. Well, weirder than usual. I still have some of the, like the gruff voice from the COVID, or something's off with my voice. I feel like so. If it is, I'm sorry, but I'm mostly better. But also, I'm just looking at my notes now, and I noticed that I don't have much written this week or typed. And I feel like I have the most to say about this episode of anything I've ever talked about. So that's worrying. I guess I'm gonna have to go off my memory, which might be dangerous because I don't know. Hopefully, I remember. Anyway, we next had Enzo Wilson. I predicted he's gonna be the first clear because they often like this year show an earlier clear in the episode, and it tends to be one of the new young people, kids, I guess. So I wrongly expected that, and also I think he was the first clear last week maybe in stage one. So I was kind of, I don't know. I just thought he would, but actually he failed the V formation. He might have been the only one to fail that. I'm not sure. Um, he had a profile about his like achievements on the like timeline of his achievements, I guess, which is kind of cool. I mean, it was quick and it was not too in depth that it takes away from like the time of the show, so it was fine. Unfortunately, he made too many moves on the V formation going downwards and failed. I think he might have been the one that made um too many moves going up it because most people did two locks at a time. They went up two at a time. He might have gone up one at a time. I know someone did this episode. I kind of forget who, but that could have exhausted his grip for going down. Then we have a fast forward with Tyler Yamauchi, who they said it's his best season ever, and it's like really because you didn't show him all year. He's one of those people like it's probably a group of 10 like good competitors I can name, including him that haven't been shown this year, except in fast forwards, and it's hard to like I don't know. It's hard to know how they're doing when you don't really see their full run. And honestly, knowing they're editing this episode, he could have made it to stage three because they skipped over all the successful people this season, not just this episode, this whole year. But at the time, I was like, well, he's not gonna. There's no way he's gonna do well because they're skipping him, and he's a person who used to feature. But I don't know why they didn't show him, and unfortunately, he failed on the hammer drop. He flipped out, and he was out. That's what happens when you flip out. Then they had Brian Burkhart. He might be suing the show for a rerun because he failed the DS, which must stand for, I guess, the double salmon layer. Yeah. He failed the double salmon layer. I remember now. And that was his first attempt, so he had to take off a safety pass. So now everyone has used their safety pass. Then they transitioned kind of in a relevant way to Austin Gray, who is. I'm sorry. He has not used a safety pass yet. I forgot about that. Austin Gray. He said that last year he announced his private messages on Instagram were open. And he got a girlfriend. It has not worked for me. In fact, I try to not look at my private messages because they don't tend to be good. But I'm good for him. And I think he was the one. He struggled up on the V formation. He struggled to get up it. And he made more moves, like, through the locks. He made one move for each one, I think. And they pointed out how that can tire your arms out. I also noticed before the hammer drop, he looked around it for a better grip to, like, see where the indents on the side were. or like the cutouts for your grip. So that was a smart move because he cleared it. He looked good. Um, then we talked about the teen invasion, as they call it. Um, they've this whole year they've really pushed like the teenager thing, and I mean it's really impressive how they've done this year. But I feel like the way they push it almost takes away from that because it's like overhyping, which they have a record of doing. And whatever demographic they're trying to appeal to, they like overhype those competitors. So now that mostly old people are watching the show compared to like people my age, they're trying to appeal to like a younger audience again. Probably some people from Ninja Junior, but it comes across really poor or like really desperate to like appeal to kids. It's like the Hello Fellow Kids. It's just I don't know. I don't think it's working well. But that's just me. I can't tell their exact ratings, and I haven't looked. Then we had a fast forward with Jonathan Godbout, who failed the hammer drop. He's been fast forward a few times, I believe. Then we had a very late cut to Josiah Pippel. And this is what they should do for people like Sean Bryan if they don't want to show them in full. Just show part of it, so it feels like they're getting featured. Josiah was on the mid-air surfer, so I was not surprised that he made it through that because it would be really short if they had started him at the beginning of the obstacle and then he failed it. So I knew he was at least making it to the end of the falling shelves, and I knew he probably wasn't clearing because they would show a clear hopefully since they weren't. It's not like season 11 where there was 21 clears. They're gonna show every clear probably, unless there's about 6. They don't skip over clears in stage 2. So yeah, I figured he was filling the backwards jump of the falling shelves, and I was right. So that was a short segment. Wait a second, was that? This must be the same segment as Joe Moravsky, because otherwise that would be a very just a fast forward and then the end of Josiah's run. This must have been the same segment as Joe. Oh yeah, and Joe had an early fail, so this makes sense that they crammed these two shorter runs together. So Joe, they showed him watching his qualifying run on the screen, which is, you can see he was upset about it, and I'm not surprised knowing Joe. Then he had a story about a kid who's a fan of him, and he went to visit her. He's undergone a bunch of heart surgeries. I'm confusing the stories because they've done this in the past with Joe with like a kid that has medical issues that he tries to that he supports. These stories are like, it's nice that they do it, but I feel like it's a bit of a shoehorned in sort of thing. Like I get, it's really nice of Joe to do that, and I feel bad for these people that are not in great health by no fault of their own. But it just seems, it's kind of like the other stories. It just seems a bit like A&W is trying to exploit it. I don't know. But good on Joe, and I'm glad that his fan got that experience. Oh, and then they said, this is kind of cool, that Joe got to donate $5,000 for winning the Power Tower last year, which I don't know if that's always the case, that you get $5,000 for winning, but I think that's kind of a cool little reward. They should mention that, because that's nice. But they also don't mention the fastest times in qualifying and finals getting bonuses, but those go to you, not to charity. But anyway, that's interesting. But the big headline was that he failed the striding steps. He was like he tried to grab the rope, but he was already leaning too much and he couldn't reach it. So that is like, despite my voice being like flat and not conveying it, that was shocking, cause he'd be expected to clear stage, especially with 2 safety passes going to Vegas. You would definitely expect him to make it through stage 2, especially since it's not like an extremely hard stage this year. It's harder, but not the hardest. So that is surprising that he failed twice with the safety pass. He might be the first one to like use his safety pass on stage 1 and fail stage 2. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong on that. It's not that unlikely. Actually, I just had to cut the thing because I ran out of storage on the phone, so I looked up that I looked up on the Wikipedia, and I found that Flip is the only other person to fail stage one, then fail stage two with the safety pass. So he's only the second person. So that's still pretty rare. Although we've only had what 10? Yeah, 10 safety pass holders in Vegas, but still, it's interesting. Okay. Then we had. Okay. Also, I should say he was really as you would expect, sad about that. And I feel bad because he's been going at the show for a long time now, since season 5, so 8 years. And he definitely wants total victory, and he's been close a lot, or the closest, but he hasn't had it. So I feel for him, but I think if he keeps at it, he has a chance. Although he's getting older, so I hope he can do it. Then we have fast forward with Matt Bradley, who failed the hammer drop. Isaiah Wakeham, who failed. Oh yeah, he failed on trying to get to the top of the salmon ladder. He failed it. And then Ryan Meeks, who lost his grip on the air surfer. I think he landed on the what's it called, railings, and then he like got shook off by the drop. It's a softer landing because it's cushioned instead of like hard like slicker rails, but it's still a big fall with upper grip, so it can happen. Then they had Kyle Soderman, who they finally featured. They say he's from Lino Lakes, which is interesting. Well, not interesting, but I immediately thought of Lido Lakes, which is where they film Takeshi's Castle, Indonesia, because I'd follow that place every day to see if they're building new stuff. Because on Instagram you can do the location hashtag thing, and you can see like people where people took pictures, and I'd always be looking for like signs of a new season being filmed, and it's canceled now. But I just found that funny because it's similar to Lido Lakes. Then again like Adam, I was really wanting him to hurry up before the falling shelves because he only had 25 seconds left, so he was cutting it close, but he cleared, so he was good. So that made him the second clear of the night, third clear overall. Really good. Then we have trying to find this. Then we have Mike Solenzi, who failed the backwards grab of the falling shelf to join the club. Then we had Kai Beckstrand, who failed. Oh yeah, he failed the rope grab of the striding steps. That's surprising. That's like the result I had when I raced against him in the Wolfpack Ninja Tour. I remember. Anyway, then we had Jake Murray, who had a story about trading with Caden Lebsack, who we'll talk about later on for sure. He failed the backwards grab as well. So they had an interview that was kind of depressing. It kind of reminded me of the interview at the beginning of the season with the Tower of Power, who said he's gonna maybe step back. And Jake Murray's one that you always expect to be in the tournament, and he said he might turn it over to the kids, I think he said, which I don't like that. I feel like, I mean, people can quit if they want, but I don't like people saying that they're gonna like give it to the new generation. That's what they did. They've done that in the past, try to like wipe out David Campbell and stuff because he's older. So I don't like when the competitors themselves say that they're gonna be like leaving because of that, because to like let new people in, because the show does that enough. They kick people out as it is. So yeah. Plus Jake's one of my favorite competitors, so I hope he doesn't quit. Please don't quit. I know you're not watching this, but still. Anyway, then we had a fast forward with Brian Burkhart. I find it interesting that they fast forwarded both of his attempts for the safety pass. It's like they just decided they were done with him for this year. Which kind of sucks because it was nice to see him featured earlier on. But he unfortunately failed by sliding off the end of the air surfer platform. He went too far. I think he's the only one in the finals to do that. So that was it. So yeah, he's out. It's just weird because they don't tend to fast forward any safety pass runs, and then they fast forward both of them on the same stage. But it is what it is. They had to fit stuff into the final, I know, and they already struggled enough with showing certain people this season. So, Then we had Jesse LeBrecq, third woman ever to run stage 3, which is cool. I was genuinely surprised though when she fell on the double salmon ladder. First, because I thought she cleared the obstacle, and second, because they were like in the middle of recapping the past women who've done well and made it to stage two. So it did catch me off guard. I'll admit, their commentary like got me because I thought she was gonna make it at least to the third thing, the V formation. So again, they're getting a bit less predictable with how they format stuff, I feel like. So that was interesting. And it's unfortunate too. I feel like she could have gone much farther. And so did she, because she said afterward to Chris that she was really disappointed she couldn't go farther. So I think it was a little mistake that unfortunately cost her. So it sucks. But she'll definitely be back next year. And the fact, by the way, that they showed her second to last made me know instantly that she went clear, because otherwise they show her last. Regardless of what happens to Stage 2, they would show her as the last round if she cleared. And the fact that they show Caden last also indicated to me that he cleared the stage. So it kind of goes both ways with the strong suggestions of what's gonna happen. But I get it. So Caden, it's like we haven't seen him since the second episode of the season in full. So that's interesting. So I figured he must do really well here, because it's not like someone like Vince that they really hyped up. So he must either do really well in the second stage and get the fastest time, or win, or both. And it turns out that the answer was both. Well, he didn't win, but he was the last man standing. So he cleared the second stage. He was the fastest, which means he gets to run stage 3 last. I didn't have much to say about his run other than it looks really good, which is always a good thing. If I have no notes, it means it was a smooth run. And he's moving on to the third stage. So now it's time for my stage 3 opinion. Stage 2 is made up of 7 obstacles, no time limit. It should be 8 obstacles, but it's now 7. It has been in the past. It was in season 11, but I think it should go back to 8, especially after a victory. But let's go through the course. So the first obstacle is grip and tip, which was introduced in the previous Vegas season 11. I believe that they made the battering ram pieces like thicker and shorter, I think, which busts the obstacle up slightly from what it was before, but I still feel like it should have been replaced by something new. Actually, I feel like they should have kept the Iron Summit in second position and put the stalactites. I was trying to think of the rhyme about which is which. The stalactites in first position, or actually maybe they could have moved the Iron Summit to first position and then had the stalactites. I feel like that would have been the best decision, just in terms of like arrangement. But yeah, I'd prefer to have that back instead of the grip and tip, but it is what it is. Then we had the stalactites that I just mentioned. I think this is cool, and I agree with what I've read, that it seems like something from like an A&W gym. It seems like a kind of thing that would be hanging from the ceiling in a gym. It's basically you have these little pegs or handles, kind of like the circuit board or the key lock hang as well. And you try to put them into these little boxes. There's a little gap that you put them through to hook yourself up. And these grips all spin around because they're hanging, and they hang and swing around too from the ceiling. So people have to be really precise with like inserting putting the handle into the gap. It's a really like precise obstacle, which I think we've been missing since they removed the key lock hang. So I appreciate having that there. So yeah, I like the obstacle, and it's a creative idea. I know someone made it for the design challenge. I forget who it was. I feel like it was a ninja on the show, but I'm not sure of that. But yeah, so good obstacle. I feel like it should have maybe been placed differently instead of removing the Iron Summit, but that's just me. Might have also been good on the back half of the course, like where the time bomb used to be. Kind of a similar concept to that, actually. Then we had the not the on guard, the up for grabs, which I was really glad to see because it hasn't been shown since its first appearance in season 11. It's one of I feel like season 11 got a lot of obstacles purged just because of everything that's happened in the past year and a half, like with canceling the regular season and having like more repeated obstacles and regionals, and not having Vegas last year. So I feel like a lot of obstacles got shortchanged. So I'm glad to see this one gets a bit more time. Um, it's a good one. You grab onto the bar in midair. You land the cradle, so you have to grab it and then land there. It's really cool. I saw a really dangerous version actually at a gym I went to for a competition. But this works because the cradles are much more padded. You have to do that twice and then dismount and you're done. Um, Something weird about it though is that the first bar is really high up, so they have to like jump high up to it to reach it. I don't really mind it, but it's just kind of awkward. Also, the angling of the camera was bad, but the obstacle stuff was good. So cool. Then we had I forget if they were calling it the ultimate cliffhanger or what, because they kind of go back and forth on that. But this is like this same as season 11, and I think the same as season 7. I think actually I think he has more moves after the crazy jump. I feel like he has more moves on that side, but I'm not sure. And that just goes to my point I'm gonna make, that I feel like the cliffhanger has been too samey for too long. Like I like the cliffhanger; it's a classic obstacle, but it's just been the same sort of crossing a bunch of ledges and then doing the crazy jump and finishing. I feel like we need something different with the cliffhanger, or maybe replace it with the vertical limit. I wouldn't mind that, or have both. I don't think it needs to be so big and taking up so much space on the stage. I think they might have made the ledges thinner because they're emphasizing that they're an inch thick, and that's the Sasuke dimension. Because the American version used to be a couple inches thick, so if they made the ledges smaller, then I really appreciate that adjustment. Because they were way too thick to begin with. They were more like shelves. So I approve of that, but I feel like the obstacle stuff needs an aesthetic change as well. But I did take out someone, so I won't say it's completely pointless. Then we had the pipe dream, which I feel like similar to the grip and tip, and also by the way the tire run. I feel like it should have been removed after that victory. Yeah, the two stage 3 obstacles I mentioned were both only a year old, but they weren't great. And I feel like after a victory, you kind of need to just remove some of the obstacles, regardless, like some of the less relevant ones or less memorable. I feel like the pipe dream is also too lower body based. So basically, you have to jump up to the bar, which also kind of like the up for grabs bar. I feel like it's a bit high. It's awkward how high they have to jump to reach it. But then you have to lachey to this wall and do like a cat grab on it. I feel like this is like way too parkour based. It might be better in stage 2. Maybe in the position of the swing surfer or the hammer drop, but without the pipes because the pipes are slower. But that move was kind of weird in stage 3, and then you have to do a few of these narrow pipes. You have to make your way across, kind of like the pole grasper from the earlier tournaments, but there's fewer of them, and you have to just stretch across to reach, or you can jump. And the last two are like fat pipes, and they drop when you grab them. Kind of like the Sidewinder from Sasuke, but the obstacle is just a bit weird for stage 3, especially that late in the stage where I feel like it should be mostly upper body or core, because I kind of like the body prop being there. But I feel like it's just not appropriate for a stage, and I would have liked to not have it back. But it is what it is. Then we had the Eyeglass Alley, which is the other new obstacle. It's a kind of interesting obstacle actually, and like creative. So it's basically this bar with circles on either end of like hoops, and it's supported on these hooks. And the hooks look like the ones from the final obstacle stage 1, where it's like a 3-sided. I think some of them might have been 4-sided. I can't remember, but it's like a multi-ended hook that you're hanging from. So you have to grab onto these glasses and walk them across the area using the hooks. So you have to like, it's kind of awkward because you're holding onto this big thing and like unhooking it with one side, and you're kind of like hanging off of it sideways. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of like Canlan in some ways, but not in most ways. Just how it looks. But then you have to catch the ring on the hook as you walk it across. You have to make a few moves, and then a couple of them near the middle of it swing. Or not swing. They spin around, so it's even like more awkward to make your way across the hooks because it's a moving target if you miss. And then once you negotiate your way through that, you have a second pair of glasses to grab, which I think they might have added just to make the obstacle a bit more beatable, because it lowers the moves that you have to make a bit, or at least like the hooking moves you just have to grab another bar, so it's a bit of like a break. But also it might have just been there intentionally because it did get one person, so it wasn't that easy. Then once you grab the second one, you just have to make one final move or two final moves. But Caden did it in one big lache. You have to get them both to a final set of hooks and then pull yourself up on the rest bar. And that preludes the flying bar. The same as usual, 4 jumps on the cradles. I think it's too easy to end the stage, but well, not too easy because I could not do one jump to. If the show was just doing one flying bar jump, I couldn't do it. But for these people, it's too easy, and it's an anticlimactic ending to the stage. And there's other alternatives. And I just decided to do a final thing where I make my own ideal Vegas course. So I'll get to that then. But the flying bar is not doing its job there. I feel like it needs to be replaced. It might be one of the obstacles that they kind of hold constant in Vegas, but it's getting old. So if nothing else, they need to make bigger jumps or like different heights or going upward or something. Because right now it's not getting enough people. So let's get to the first runner. We have Vance Walker. So I guess we can say the first walker. Anyway, that was stupid. So I didn't take notes on stage 3 because I wanted to really focus on it and enjoy the stage. So I'm kind of doing this off of memory, but so we got a bit caught up on the stalactites. I think he had to wait for the thing to spin around a couple times because he missed and it was a moving target. So he had to wait for it to slow down. That's what happens when you have good grip strength. You can just be patient and wait for it to stop spinning. But he got off of it, and I was kind of nervous, especially because he was running first, but also because he used a bit of energy there that he was gonna fall early. But he made it all the way through the cliffhanger to the pipe dream, and I noticed after the cat grab wall that tilts, I noticed after he clears the cliffhanger, it's down, it's not set up properly, and they cut to it being vertical like it should be, and him attempting it. So I feel like there must have been some kind of thing in the middle where they fixed it, but they just cut that part out. I'm guessing that the thing fell over because I assume they'd remember to reset it, so maybe the wind blew it over because it was so windy. I'm not sure, but I just noticed that. And then he made it to the pipe. Then he attempted the pipes. You can see he was struggling, and it makes sense because they've mentioned a lot that his legs, even though he's recovered from it, his legs are still kind of weak. So he's really struggling. He tried to stretch across the last couple of pipes, and he did it. And then he worked his way through the eyeglass alley, but he was trying to grab the second set of the second bar, and unfortunately it fell out, and he lost his grip, and he was done. But a very good run and a great season for him. And if nothing else, Vance, you got the best promotion of any of the 4 finalists, so good on you for that. Because these next 3 people didn't get much attention this season until right now. So next up we have Kyle Soderman, who was skipped in the first 3 rounds of the competition. He was only been shown on stage 2 up to this point. He had a decent run, but unfortunately he lost his grip on the cliffhanger, going not even the crazy jump, just going across the first part. So his season ended right there. But he still deserves to be shown a lot more than that. Then we had Austin Gray, who's been probably in the past 2 seasons the most consistent person because he's been the second place player in both years. So he does not get much recognition for that. So that sucks. I feel like he deserves more. And he did great here. He made it to the eyeglass alley. Also failed there. He failed a bit earlier than Caden actually, but he got there faster, so he had the last man standing at this point, which they mention a lot. Because it's kind of indicated to me that there wouldn't be a winner because they were talking about the last man standing so much. Although honestly, I did think that their talk about the last man standing meant there'd be a tie, just like in season 10 where they both failed the cliffhanger. So they did. I didn't guess that, but I did guess that there would not be a total victory because of that. It's just I feel like the prize is kind of takes away from something because even though the competitors are like rooting for each other, you know, part of them doesn't want to be beat because then they can't win the the 100,000. Same as stage four when they do the fastest one to the buzzer. I don't agree with that. It should just be like Sasuke, in my opinion. But you know, that is what it is. But anyway, so he had the time that he had at this point the fastest time to the pipe dream or to the eyeglass alley through the pipe dream. So that's good. There's nothing much else to say about his run. I probably should have written more like complex notes because I ain't read anything about stage three. But honestly, most of the obstacles on the stage were more like strength draining than anything, so there wasn't much to like point out. I like the stage, but only a few obstacles here were really like threats to these people. I mean, I'm sure things like the grip and tip will be tough in qualifying, but since this is stage three, they're not really a threat to anyone who make it here in a normal season. So that's true. But yeah, the last minute thing is kind of a spoiler that people aren't gonna win it because the only season that it's been around in that they haven't mentioned it is season 11, and that's when we had a winner. So it just indicates that like okay, we're not gonna have someone win it, but we're still gonna give away a prize anyway. It just suggests. And to be fair, season 11 it was pretty obvious that someone was gonna win from the start. So there's not like much basis for what I'm saying, but you know it kind of you can kind of tell sometimes with their choices and what they choose to mention. But anyway, then we had Caden Lebsack who cleared the whole course. So he, no matter what, was going away with money. I was really excited during his run. Unfortunately, I got my grandma watches the show and she texted me while I called my family for a while during the show, so I was watching it later, and I opened a message from her before I resumed it saying like, "Wow, Caden did awesome." So I had a feeling what would happen, but he did very well. He cleared the whole course. He looked great on the flying bar, which is why I say like anyone of that caliber that makes it there isn't gonna fail it, or 90% of them at least. So yeah, but he made it through, so that's great. I'm trying to think of anything else to say about his run. Other than he's looked really smooth, and as I mentioned earlier, he did a cool lachey to finish the eyeglass alley and hook the second pair of glasses on the final rings. He did a simultaneous move, so that was nice. Then we moved on to stage four. So this very complex course started with oh wait, it's only a rope climb. It's still only a rope climb, despite the fact that it's been that way for the past 10 seasons in Vegas. Yeah, so that was a disappointment. I've already mentioned that earlier in this video, so I'll not rant again. But I feel like every win you need to change the final stage. And in this case, we didn't have a winner, but I feel like they need to just take the opportunity to finally update it anyway, and then get on the schedule of changing it every time, because it just doesn't make sense. Maybe they wanted someone to replace Drew, because they might have thought that Caden was going to win the whole thing in reality, but he couldn't get up fast enough. But it's just ridiculous to still rope climb, even if they do want a winner. So it should have changed in season 8 after Isaac and Jeff won. But that's water under the bridge at this point. So Caden he climbed the rope, but unfortunately he didn't really engage his feet that much. So he was using mostly upper body like I do. So he didn't make it up nearly in time. Unfortunately, although he did a lot better than like I would do without my feet on a rope. Like he has a similar form, but he's a lot faster. But it still isn't enough. You have to use your full body basically to get up there. And you could tell he was really disappointed with how it went at the top of the rope. Oh, it's thundering outside. I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I hope it's not gonna bleed into the video. I don't think it will. But he was pretty disappointed. I felt bad for him, but at the end of the day, like he had a great season. He deserves to be shown more, but he wasn't. But he had a really good season. He's winning $100,000, which is awesome. I think I saw his Instagram page. He also won a car, so in another competition. So that's it's working out for him overall. So good for you, Caden. Had a great season. and I can't really take credit for this because it's because I never really thought of it this way, but I've followed Caden in 2018. I found him on Instagram, and he was one of the better kids at that time because not as many kids were doing it, and he still is one of the better ones. But he was one of the first people I came across that was like younger, so I was like, that's cool that people my age are doing really well at this. So I thought at the time like he might be the first like young person I follow that's gonna win it. Although I didn't really like it didn't really come to my mind because at that point there weren't young people competing because in early 2018 it was still 21 and up. So I would like to take credit for like predicting his win, but at the same time I didn't really know he would be competing. But it's still cool that someone I've been like following from the start before Ninja Junior existed got the farthest this season, and someone I've been in support of just based on the ninja skills. So that's really cool. And great job, kid. If you're watching, which probably no one's made to this point, but if you have, then thank you. So I'm gonna do an impromptu segment of me choosing a new course for next Vegas, just for fun, cause I don't know. It's probably gonna be not great, but I haven't planned this, so we'll see what I come up with. I would, like I said, actually, I would put the Dipping Birds in first position, cause the Surf Slider wasn't that hard, and I feel like the Dipping Birds would have been more adequate for the first spot in stage one. I'm trying to think of the course. This was an abrupt transition back to the beginning of the course. Then for spot two, I would have. I think maybe I'd keep the Swinging Blades because they're only a year old and they're not too bad. But maybe make the gap between them bigger so that people actually miss that jump. A couple people actually miss that jump. Then it's kind of getting old, but I think I'll keep the Double Dipper as well. Then I want to replace the Jumping Spider, maybe with it's tough to. I don't know what I replace it with, but I want to maybe put something like the jump hang there, just be different. Still a trampoline obstacle, but a different one. It can be a bigger jump than it was in season 4 if they want, but just something to change things up because it needs some change. Then Jeep Run or Tire Run definitely needs to be replaced. Maybe put in the. They're not gonna bring the half pipe attack back, and they probably shouldn't anyway. Maybe put like some other kind of balance thing there. It doesn't have to be curved necessarily. Just what if? Okay, because of the placement of this pool, I'm thinking, what if they put like a earlier metal spin there? They can make the jump less, but it could just be like hanging from the chain and swinging around. I think that'd be a faster obstacle and it would just be different. And it makes use of that curved pool. Then the warped wall. Then I would do something different and bring back the domino pipes. And then to finish the stage, I think they can keep the fly hooks, but make the handles like more normal looking without all the hooks hanging off the side. Just make it look more like it's supposed to function, because there's no need for all those little hooks off the side. I might want to add split decision, but I'll move on so I don't waste a bunch of time here. But that's my first stage. Second stage, I'll keep the shrinking steps into the double salmon ladder. Then replace V formation. Maybe bring back the snapback. And of course, this review isn't really adding any new obstacles, but they should add a couple new ones. In reality, I'm just trying to think of like past ones. Then fourth position, I like the hammer drop. Then fifth, I feel like they don't need to have like back-to-back really tough strength obstacles, so maybe I'd bring in let's try to see here. Maybe I'd bring back the Grim Sweeper, but with bigger gaps, whether they're horizontal gaps or like bigger drops down, because I think it's a good obstacle, but it's just too easy for that spot. Then the final obstacle, I want a strength drainer to come back, so maybe let me think. This is kind of like a speed stage or a faster stage than what we have now, so maybe I would put the wall lift back in, but just lower the time limit a lot so it has more of a function. That's my thought. I'm gonna put the wall lift and it'll be more of a speed stage. This is a lot more like the season 11 course now because it has a couple of those obstacles and then a wall lifting sort of thing. So that's cool. I like the season 13 one, but it's kind of this is more of a traditional stage 2, what I'm thinking of, so I'll go with that. Then stage 3, as I mentioned, I'd put Iron Summit. Then I want to bring back the the On Guard. I like On Guard. I saw that. Then I like Up for Grabs there. I think it's fine. But maybe I'd have On Guard directly into Up for Grabs because I liked having that spot where a couple obstacles fed into each other. So I'll do that. Then we'll have the cliffhanger, but smaller, and then it transitions right into the vertical limit. It can be wider than the Sasuke one, so they can go right into each other. But I think it should be the vertical limit in some form because I like that obstacle. So I'll put that there. So that's 5 obstacles. I might want to add another obstacle in the back half, but I'll keep it to 8. I'll just keep like similar structure to now. Then bring back the curved body prop, put that into the stalactites, and then the final obstacle is a pipe slider with a big dismount. I want the pipe slider in Vegas. Let's do that. So that's stage 3. And then stage 4, I'll keep it simple and just put the spider climb and then, or I guess whatever they call it in Sasuke, into the rope climb, and that's it. Same time limit as Sasuke. I might want to do something different, but I need to get done with this to get started on homework, so that's what we'll go with. And it's traditional, so it works. But that's basically it for my Vegas opinions. Overall, it's a pretty good season. I feel like it wasn't the best, just based on like having repeating obstacles and qualifying and not being able to travel and not having an audience. It just didn't feel right at times. But overall, it's been a pretty decent year, and it's improved as it went. I feel like qualifiers were the worst part, then semifinals were next, and then Vegas was a big step up. So I hope we keep moving in that direction. I hope next year could be more traditional, and I hope that they have the teenagers back, but they dial back like the hype for them, and that will make things much better. So that's my hot takes on this season. Overall, average but better than last year, and I hope next year we can continue that forward momentum. Maybe I can go to a competition if COVID limitations permit, or maybe I can compete in one. You never know. It's gonna be tough, but you never know. So that's about it. Thank you for watching. This is my last thing for a while, but I will probably return at some point to this channel. If you want to like see updates, you can find me on Instagram as Brian Van Smith, or you can find me on my email is brianvansmith@gmail.com. So yeah, pretty much anywhere if you type in Brian Van Smith, you'll get me, or almost any website. Not every single website, but the basic websites. Let's say that. And thank you for watching. It's been fun. Hopefully I get this up by tonight, and I'll be back. Thank you.